You guys know what time it is. Get strapped in and ready for some good times. This is the Blowed Out Podcast. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's your fatty with a natty here, coming at you for episode 55. Man, isn't that something else? 55 episodes. I know some of you can't believe that. A, that I've managed to make it to 55, or B, that, man, it only seems like yesterday. It's probably, I would dare say, down the middle on who is thinking which way, at least in my mind. Anyhow, I'm going to try and come at you with a good show. It's just me, solo, midweek, this show. Got Miss Lady and Maddie without a natty hanging out down south, doing their midweek business, so I figured I'd better hit you up and give you a holler. We didn't play last weekend because it was Maddie's 50th birthday. So again, want to wish him a very happy birthday, old bastard that he is. Not trying to sound mean to anyone over 50, but in his case, it's pretty old. So we'll see what we can come up with. Before I get too far, I do want to thank all you guys, the listeners, both here in the U.S. and abroad, for all your support. We have officially picked up 4 new cities and a new country. So now we're over 111 cities in 14 countries. So thank you guys so much. It's amazing. I never guessed it would have got that far, so thank you again to everyone. Hope you're enjoying it. Go ahead and be sure to tell everybody where to find us. Of course, there are also many other things that have transpired since the last time we talked, which need not necessarily any going back over, but I feel compelled. I won't do a full-on tribute like a lot of people, but R.I.P. Ozzy. Whether you liked him or not, we all at some point loved his music or music that he influenced. You just can't deny that. And I don't know a lot of people who won't at least hum along to Iron Man or Crazy Train. So there's that. He's been a big staple in my life. Lord, as long as I've been alive. And then, of course, Hulk Hogan. Rest in peace, sir. Also was a big deal, when we were growing up. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Man, when we were kids, Hulk Hogan was the shit. Everybody loved Hulk Hogan. Then, sadly, Amber Reel. You guys know me, I'm kind of fat, so I'm a huge fan of professional chefs. Sadly, apparently, they announced that her departure was not unplanned, unfortunately. Also, the great jazz player Chuck Mangione, unfortunately, met his time last week. Also a pretty big staple in my life as far as jazz and blues, just an all-around amazing musician. So, Godspeed to all those folks and anyone who I missed, sadly. I wish it was different, but it's one of the few things in life that's guaranteed. Kids, you know that. Sadly, also Monday was my dear sister Nicole's birthday. She would have been 46. And for those of you who had the pleasure of knowing her, also understand why that's a big deal. Of course, I absolutely miss her dearly. I did get to go and have dinner with my dad, though, which was a really big deal to me, and I appreciate it a lot. It really means a lot, and it was great just sitting there and catching up and telling a story or two about Nick. So I appreciate that. Those of you who know my dad, probably already follow him, but if you're a fan of hand-drawn art, I hope he's okay with this, but you can follow him on TikTok at Lynn Scadden. His videos are way cooler than mine, and he pumps them out left and right, and they are always fantastic. I implore you to give it a watch. You won't be disappointed. In other news, apparently California is getting lucky. Kind of. I don't know which is the worse or the lesser of two evils, but apparently Carmela, I always get yelled at when I say that, but has announced she will not be running for governor of California in 26, which unfortunately just leads me to believe that she has her eyes on the big white prize. So that'll be interesting, but I'd be willing to bet that's how that's going to play out. So, again, I don't know that she could be any worse than Newsom, but apparently it sounds like you're not going to have to find out. You do have to worry about, at least not today, but yesterday, tsunami warnings. Because like we talked about last episode, there's some crazy shit going on. Not only politically, but physically in the world. 8.8 magnitude earthquake. Now, do I think for a second that this... I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase this. Do I think that an earthquake and the following... Christ, sorry, I'm tripping on my words. Following volcano were a coincidence in the Ring of Fire? Sure. Do I also partially feel like the things we talked about last episode, such as HAARP and all these other forced environmental factors, possibly government induced, are accurate enough to say set off a specific one? No, I don't think that at all. I think that if they're going to turn any of those devices to 11 to try and wreak havoc on a specific area of the globe, I think that they're able to get in the general direction, but I don't think they can pinpoint specific, like down to specific volcanoes or tectonic plate areas. So I think possibly if it was governmentally driven, let's say, they probably just aim it in the general direction, turn it to 11 and go, well, I mean, it was close. Not really the one I wanted, but, we're in the ballpark. That's how I think. Again, I could be wrong. Like I said last time, I'm not wearing a tinfoil hat. I'm just saying I think these things are absolutely possible. With everything else that's possible nowadays, it certainly isn't beyond the realm of possibility. I don't think there's anything that's outside of the realm of possibility, honestly. And they got robots in China that are fist fighting. But they probably had that for years. Hell, for all we know, they have a complete alternate society of the U.S. over there that's all generated with CRISPR or some damn thing. I don't know. That's why I stick to my little corner of the world for the most part. But back to the earthquake and consequential tsunami. This leads into what we were talking about last time, because now we've got a hurricane staging off the Pacific coast, along with continuing floods in Texas and all the other places that I can't even keep up with. Why all of a sudden are these crazy storms and flooding and tsunamis and earthquakes and whatever else? Why all of a sudden? I mean, yeah, Mother Earth's been pissed at us for years. But doesn't it seem back to back to back all of a sudden? And yes, I know that it does that often. Well, probably not often, but more than we're making it sound like. Every once in a while, this shit will just hit in threes or fours, but this seems like an awful lot to me. Doesn't it to you? You know, with all the stuff going off in Washington, and all the little earthquakes in Yellowstone and everything, like, I'm starting to feel like Woody Harrelson in 2012 over here. Like, you know, I'm going to live in a motorhome and be podcasting to you guys from the edge of the caldera, just waiting for this shit to go off. Like, is it just me? Or, I mean, it can't possibly be just me. And don't get me wrong, I'm not obsessed with it. I'm not obsessing over it. You know, I don't have any more end of the world supplies stocked up currently than I normally would, or, you know, than I just regularly do. But, man, just with everything going on, and I'm sure at some point this sounds like a broken record, but it's wild. Like, I'm just looking through the news feed over here, and it's just everything. It's everything after another. The stock market, unfortunately, is down a bit today. Well, the close of today. NASDAQ's up, but gold is back down just a hair, which that is literally a hair. It's still more than it ever was when I had any to sell. Because $32.50 an ounce is still pretty banging. But you just can't scroll very far without, you know, tariffs, this, and Lord, all of it. You know, like I said, hurricanes and tariffs and blah, blah, blah. It's just, it gets to be too much. And I guess maybe that's where I was kind of headed with this, is when you step back and think about the things like my sister's birthday, for instance, all of that kind of takes a sidestep. And thank God, because if you just allow yourself to think about it all day, every day, it gets to be too much. And it takes, I'm sure many of you have noticed, also myself, it takes more of a mental toll than I'm comfortable with, you know, just the day in and day out stuff. So then it doesn't take a whole lot to just fling you into a full-on, like, I don't even want to take my head out from underneath the covers depressive state, and that sucks. That sucks to have to admit, that sucks to say, that sucks to think about in the grand scheme of things. Yes, you know, most of us can't do that, you know. Most of us, nobody wants to, I don't think, but most of us can't, you know, we have to get up and continue going to work and doing the things because we are so paycheck to paycheck or so dependent on those things, you know, the daily life things that have to transpire to keep everyone afloat. And I'm sure we've talked about it before, but man, if it gets to be too much, feel free to reach out. There seems to be an uptick in failing mental health issues, I guess, maybe is a good way to put it. But there seems to be an uptick in people that are deciding that it's too much. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. If any of you guys ever feel that way, please feel free to reach out to me. I may not be good for much, but by damn it, I will listen, and I'll offer any advice I may or may not have. If there's only one thing I can do on this earth is to teach somebody something I know, or give somebody a little piece of advice, or maybe just a little attaboy, you know, to keep their day running, then I'm happy to do it. So please, if it gets to be too much, reach out. There are plenty of resources available. especially if it gets to be taking a toll on your family. That's when something needs to happen, and I understand that it gets to that point, and I'm all for reaching out. So please, if it gets to that point. I was just informed by Ganesha, the Wonder Dog engineer, that she needs to have a smoke break. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back in a minute. Are you a business owner or marketing director for your company? Would you like to explore the potential benefits of advertising on the show? The Blowed Out Podcast currently reaches listeners in over 104 cities spread across 13 countries worldwide. To explore advertising options, including budgeting and frequency, email us at blowedoutpodcast@gmail.com and be sure to include marketing in the subject line. All right, y'all, we're back. that went not according to plan. Went outside, and it's a bit blustery out here, so all the sprinklers gave me an unexpected shower. But it's all right. Probably needed one. Anyhow, on a lighter note, I did fall prey and watch Happy Gilmore 2 on Netflix. Not gonna lie, guys, it was pretty damn good. And it hit all the markers for nostalgia. Cameos, good Lord, cameos out the yin yang. I think he did a fantastic job, and I got nothing bad to say about it. So, if you're looking for something a little light, I highly recommend it on Netflix. Happy Gilmore 2. In some other news, apparently Stickies and JCPenney are the latest to fall victim to the current economy. Both of them, Stickies has filed bankruptcy and apparently shut all their stores. And JCPenney's says they just sold like 111, sorry, I'm scrolling back down here, 111 stores in a, $1 billion deal, it says. Now, that doesn't say they're closing like Stickies, but there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in this economy. Everywhere you look, something's popping up or shutting down. Locally, there's a lot of folks struggling, but they're falling prey to just hands down better food, seems to be. So that's always interesting. It's hard to say what's going to come of all of this at the end of the day. Who knows? Gas is still hovering, at least locally. I think $3.25 today, $3.29 maybe, which is not good. But it's better than $5 or $8 or whatever some of you guys are paying. So, Lord, I'm sorry for that. Not my fault or anything I can do about it, but man, that sucks when you got to put gas in the damn car just to get to work. And with school rapidly approaching, ugh, God help us all with kids. I got to do some school shopping myself this weekend for the teenager. I don't necessarily see a real significant impact of any of the tariff stuff on that just yet. You know what I mean? Probably some if I was actually paying attention, but $100 pair of shoes are still $100 pair of shoes. You know, if it's give or take $10, it's still give or take $10. A lot of car manufacturers I've noticed have been, honestly, I think a lot of them are just using it as a marketing ploy. A lot of folks are buying new cars because they're, pre-tariff deals, and we're not going to pass that on. At the end of the day, that's what any good retailer or even service provider has to do. Myself, for instance, Maddie and I, we have always been a custom service. I mean, we provide a product or a service, but ours has always been based on market. So it could go up, it could go up $15 tomorrow. It could go down $15 tomorrow. We base it on market price for steel or materials just based on market. So we don't necessarily see a lot of that, or, again, depending on the day, we may or may not. But retail-wise, or, consumer electronic-wise, or vehicles, things of that nature, it seems to be everybody's kind of shouldering the what-ifs, or even if they are already being imposed, they're kind of taking it in stride, which, again, as they should. We all know damn well that a $65,000 damn Toyota Tundra, let's call it. I don't know if that's what they are. I know they ain't cheap, but you also go $65,000, for a $40,000 truck. Come on. I mean, it was already ridiculous before any of this stuff started or started being enacted. So they're just going to have to drop their profit margins a hair, which that doesn't, for little guys, that doesn't bode well, of course. But when you're a major automobile manufacturer, or TVs or phones or any of this garbage, come on now. We all know damn well that the phone we're holding in our hand doesn't cost $1,200 or $1,400 or whatever the hell they're pumping us for. And when they're selling, several thousand of them a day, is it fantastic? No, but they can afford to take a little bit of a damn hit for some tariffs. And all of this stuff has already been backfiring and pedaling backwards and everything, just like I told you it would. Eventually it will even out. I can't promise that, but historically, everybody eventually caves and everything just kind of levels out and goes back to what will eventually become the new normal. It's just like houses. Houses in my area in northern Utah are damn ridiculous. I mean, that's the only way to put it. And anyone listening in northern Utah or in Utah period will absolutely agree. When you have, let's call it a 1,200 square foot, 3-bedroom, 1-bath house built in the 50s or the 60s, that the average price is $350,000 in a not so great neighborhood. Come on now, kiss my fat ass. Now, unfortunately, do I ever see that returning to a price that anyone can actually afford? No, I do not, sadly. It may level off, what they will call cooling, but those prices will never go back down to 150 where they belong, or even less. Or, unfortunately, we all know that that's just how this works. They go up, they stay up. They may level off, but they are never, ever coming back down to prices that normal folk can afford. That's just the way it is, and that's just the sad truth of it. And that then becomes the new normal. And I don't know how any of us can do anything about that. We can go out and rally in the streets, and don't do it in the streets. You know how I feel about that. But we can go stand on the sidewalk in front of whatever building with whatever sign on every damn Saturday morning of the month. And we all know that's not going to change a damn thing. Sadly, there's only one way this plays out, and that still isn't going to fix any of the prices. I hope that's not true, but more than likely, that's unfortunately where this is all headed. Also, speaking of things that will never apparently go back to the way they once were, I just had this discussion or brought this up on Facebook. Shop class. What is so wrong in the public school system with shop class? Why did it go away? And I don't know how it is in your neck of the woods, but here, that has seemingly all gone away. And that's sad. That's sad for me because I grew up in shop class, regardless. Auto shop, machine shop, wood shop. But those are all gone now at the school I went to, or most of the schools I've ever gone to. And that's terrible. And I just had this, I was thinking about this the other night. We have effectively, and when I say we, I'm not talking about you or I mean collectively as a society, apparently, groomed this generation of what we thought were going to be all computer-based jobs. By 2025, Christ, back in the 80s, at 2025, we were all going to be flying cars to work, like Jetsons. That's just not the case. So now you have all these folks who were groomed for computer-based jobs that can't possibly get one. I mean, I would dare say that everyone listening knows someone with a degree in something computer-based or even anything else based that literally cannot get a job because when they were coming up, some of these younger generations, Z and Alpha and God knows whatever any of the other ones are, were told that, by the time you're out of college, we're all going to be flying cars and everybody's going to be doing computer work. Gone will be the days of mechanics and electricians and carpenters, and that's just nonsense. But it's sad that these kids today can't experience these things in school. Shop class was great. It around here, and I say that a lot, so it is what it is, but most of us grew up, or a lot of us, at least, like I said, around here, rurally, we all grew up watching, or helping grandpa or dad or stepdad or whoever work on cars or tractors or snowmobiles or whatever coming up. And so that was normal to us. But what about these kids who their parents were groomed for this computer age that I don't disagree we are in, but it's not to the degree that anyone thought it was going to be. So what about those kids who didn't grow up, helping dad work on the car because mechanics are expensive or just because, we didn't have the money to pay the mechanic to fix it, so we fixed it our damn self. What about those kids whose parents were groomed for the computer age that didn't get to grow up helping dad or grandpa work on cars or stuff, and their parents just always took the car to the mechanic or called AAA or whatever, that literally can't even change their own damn tire or their own oil? Then what? So now you've got, at least again, in my opinion, now you've got this demographic of folks who literally don't know the first thing about their car other than how to put gas in it, but also aren't making the six-figure salary that they were possibly promised or alluded to believe that they would be, so they can just run their car down to the mechanic anytime something happens. Now what? Now you have folks who are, insisting that the minimum wage be raised, A, because of housing prices and everything else, but also because they can't afford, when their car breaks down, to take it to anyone to be fixed. And that applies to aircraft, that applies to tractors, that applies to everything. And it's wild from someone who's worked on cars their whole life to think of it that way. Yes, do I know the first damn thing about like a Tesla drive system? No. I know its batteries and its voltage and its motors and all of this stuff, but there are still bearings and brakes and suspension components and everything else that even a backwoods mechanic can adapt to figure out. It's just electricity. It's just electric motors instead of a gasoline engine or a diesel engine. I didn't, like I said, me personally, I knew more about flying an airplane when I started rebuilding airplanes than I did working on airplanes. But you're able to adapt all of those things and make it work. You're able to learn those things. If you can take a tire off, you can take a tire off of anything. Yes, they're different how they're mounted, but it's not rocket science. It's, a spindle mount versus a hub-centric mount. There's 100 different things that you can take from one modality and introduce it into another one, and it's easily adaptable. But if you never even, if your first introduction to taking a tire off, or let's say, a skill saw, which is a really old term that some of us older folks still use, but if you just run down to your big box store and buy a skill saw because you saw it on HGTV, chances are you're going to lose some fingers or you're going to mess something up real bad because you were never properly introduced to that. Again, same with electricity, same with heating and ventilation systems. Like, why are we taking these things out of schools? I get STEM is a good thing. It's a fantastic thing. Robotics, technology, all of those things are absolutely necessary in today's world, but it's creating a giant void in skilled laborers or blue-collar folks. Who do you think's going to build your damn vacation house if you happen to be one of the lucky ones making 6 figures or 7 figures in some tech job? What if there's nobody to build your house or wire it or put the damn air conditioning, system in it? Then what? I think this is a bad decision on a lot of school districts' faults. I guess I don't know technically who that falls on. I would say Department of Education, but that's a slippery slope, just even mentioning Department of Education. But it's been left up to the states and further down the municipalities to either enforce those things or develop those things, and they're just letting it go by the wayside because someone somewhere is still under the impression that computers are the way to go. I don't disagree. We use them all day, every day, but there's still going to have to be somebody somewhere, to put the shit together before you can even plug it in. I don't know, something I was thinking about the other night. And it came up on Facebook, and it saddened me because when I graduated high school, I was already like just a couple of tests away from being a certified mechanic or a certified machinist, and there's a lot of folks, I'm sure that many of you listening, English or math or a lot of the traditional subjects maybe aren't our best thing. Maybe just isn't our bag. But maybe I could weld real good. I mean, basic math, sure. Basic English, I appreciate punctuation and correct spelling, but it's something to think about. And I don't know, I guess, again, the school boards, if this is something you guys agree with, maybe it's time we get a little more involved, in our local school boards, especially if you have kids, but also our kids as kids. If all this shit is just gone by the time our kids have kids or our kids' kids are grown enough to matter, then what? Right? It just doesn't, if you're playing the long game, it doesn't have a great outlook, in my opinion. Again, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, which admittedly isn't fantastic. I don't have a yacht or a beach house. Now maybe if I went back and changed a few things, could I? Sure, but it's not the path I took. But I certainly couldn't have existed this long, or became who I am today or gotten to where I am today without those programs. Around these parts, I don't make a terrible living. I don't make a great living. Again, I don't have a yacht. I've been eyeballing a few, but not quite there. So if anybody wants to take me for a ride on one, it'd be super cool. But, I wouldn't have made it this far in life without those things. So somewhere along the line, we have to start thinking long game. Unless we're okay with just letting it die on the vine. Is that going to be the case? I don't know. You don't know. I don't think there's anyone who can actually say that. But I think with some rudimentary things in place that aren't currently, I think we got a whole lot better chance of making it to that day than we seem to now. Sadly, as much as I love the TikTok and the Face page and all the other ones, I think that kids nowadays just think they're going to be a influencer or a content creator. And I wish that was the case. As much as I love those platforms, I don't even see any benefit from them other than spouting my own shit and talking shit and having fun, watching fart videos and, God knows what else. They're entertainment. But I'm afraid that too many of these kids nowadays just think that that's going to be the case. Oh, they're going to be a YouTube star or, a TikTok star. And for some of them, that absolutely may be the case. There's one little turd head that thinks he's a rapper from Ogden. And I won't mention names, but a lot of folks in northern Utah know who I'm talking about, and he thinks he's already there, and he probably has more followers than me, but that doesn't mean he can rap or has any business doing so. He's kind of an idiot, and he's probably had his ass whooped more than once, and probably a lot more than that coming if he keeps running his mouth, but that doesn't mean he's going to be rich and famous someday, so he should probably learn how to weld or, build a house. All right, guys, my last thought for this episode, and I should go back and listen, but I think it's happened since the last episode. This clown at the Coldplay concert. Can somebody please, with the inside knowledge, give me the real scoop on this? Because I've been dying. I've been watching all of it and laughing my ass off. This idiot. I really want to know if it's true that he thought he had any expectation of privacy at a Coldplay concert. I'm pretty excited if it's true that, his dumbass ruined his life, his 6-figure, 7-figure life over his HR mistress. Both of them. You know what? I can tolerate a lot of stuff, guys, but man, I can't tolerate that. So he's a dumbass, and I think they both deserve everything they get. Sad for their kids and their families, but it's fantastic. It's a riot watching it go down. So like I said, if anybody can give me the actual inside scoop on that, that'd be great, because I don't trust anything coming out of mainstream media. I shouldn't revel in that, but it's funny when people think that there is not a camera or well, just a camera, let alone peeping eyes. But there's a camera around every damn blade of grass, folks. Why anybody thinks they can get away with shit is beyond me. You're an idiot if you think that. Not saying any of you are an idiot, but if you don't think that there's an eye in the sky somewhere at some point, everywhere, watching damn near everything you do, I don't know what to tell you. Anyhow, I'm going to wrap it up for this episode. Hope it's been at least mildly entertaining. It's been a blast doing it, guys. Like I said, if you need to reach out, please do. If you have questions, please shoot them at me. I'll happily answer them, or I'll get with Maddie and Miss Lady and we'll answer them together. Comments, suggestions, hate mail, whatever. You know where to find us. blowedoutpodcast@gmail.com. On all the socials. Tell your friends to have a listen. Spotify, iHeart, Apple, Amazon. You know where to find us, guys. I always appreciate you listening. Hope you enjoy it. Try and be good to one another, and we'll talk to you soon. Love you guys. Cheers.